Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green, my co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how we feeling today?
Doing good, Matt. We got Bama weekend coming up. My Lions are playing the Ravens in about an hour. Monday Night Football. Probably gonna get smoked, but no, it's good. It's good. I went to me and my buddies randomly went to Charlotte this weekend to go watch the Falcons Panthers game, and the Falcons lost 30-0 to like the worst team in the NFL. So that was a really fun time. But yeah, no, I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. The Panthers are legit like the worst team in the NFL, or they're supposed to be, right?
They're like one of them, dude.
I don't know where the Falcons rank if they're gonna lose 30-0, but yeah, it's an interesting week, man. Bama week is always big. This one, I don't know. Does this feel as big as all the other ones to you?
Well, one of them was the Natty, and some of them have been the SEC championship. But I think this one does feel it does have its own unique feeling for me, just because it's the first time that Kirby's gotten them at home before. I mean, we always talk about how Kirby can't beat Bama or how they struggle against Bama, and a lot of that is justified. But they've never actually played them in Sanford. They've gone to Bryant-Denny twice, and every other time it's been either the SEC or the Natty. So this one definitely does feel a bit more unique from all the other ones, especially coming off of whatever the hell that was last year.
Yeah, it's true. It feels like there's this kind of weird, like, if Georgia doesn't beat Alabama this year, they're never going to.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but it's like we all do remember we did beat them once.
Yeah, like
it's got this weird energy, like Tennessee, like this long winning streak, and obviously Alabama's own Georgia. I'm not here to act like that's not the case, but
we beat them one time.
Yeah, we did beat them one time. They've won 2 in a row. It's not it's 2 in a row, and I got the stats, the data to throw at it later. But yeah, 2 in a row, and what, Kirby's 1-6 to this point. So I think what Rick lost his last 3 to Bama, I think. So
yeah,
right.
Wait, did Rick only play Bama 3 times? Was it was the black? No, because Rick beat Bama.
Because he beat them.
He beat them in Bryant-Denny with Stafford's freshman year.
Yeah,
and they lost to them in the blackout, and then they lost.
But before that, 02 and 03, they beat Bama.
Okay.
So yeah, Rick. I mean, Rick was 3-0.
That wasn't really Bama.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't what they are now, for sure. I mean, honestly, 07 with Saban wasn't what they are now. So really, since they became this dynasty, Georgia's beaten them one time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, it's just interesting because like we said, Kirby's 1-6. The 7 other games were all College game day also. So this is the first one.
Yeah, this one's not.
This is the first one where it's not game day, and it's also the first one in Athens. So I don't know if we got some sort of beef with the people game day. I don't know if we need to talk about that, but no, obviously Oregon Penn State is just a massive game this week, and Alabama. If Alabama didn't lose to Florida State, I would imagine this would be game day for the 8th time in the Kirby Smart era. Just because, I mean, if you care about game day, not that that's like the end all be all, but it kind of speaks to the how big of a big game environment it is and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know a lot of people really do care about game day. I've never been. I mean, I like to watch game day. It's a good program for sure, but like, I don't feel like slighted or anything because they chose to go to Penn State. I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, if Alabama is undefeated going into this game, it's probably game day, but it's not. So
yeah, because Georgia Alabama has become that big time SEC rivalry, even though it isn't one of the which, I mean, oh man, I didn't make a graphic for it. And honestly, I didn't even tally up my scores. I'm so unprepared for this conversation, but do we need to get into the locked rivalries for the SEC? So let me see here. Let me see. Let's just put my graphic on the screen since I do have something, and then we'll find what the actual one is. Here, let me see here, if I can find it. So let's see here. So this was my prediction, and unfortunately, I don't have the up-to-date one that was just announced. And I guess I don't know if Chris Lowe, if he's gonna have some beef with Greg Sankey, but Chris Lowe breaking this story the night before they got the whole televised
Yeah.
event and all that. So I thought that was interesting. But so this isn't the official, but this is the best we have right now. Let me see. Do you have it in front of you? I was trying to pull it up right now.
It's
With
up there now.
So what did I get wrong here? We got Alabama is gonna have Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. I think the mistake they made in all of this was they tried, and it was what I tried to warn the people, like, don't worry about the 3 locked rivals, one being more difficult or easier, because you're going to play everybody. And so if your locked rivals are tougher, then the teams you're rotating are going to be a little easier. But I think they tried to like make them a little even. So Alabama's got Auburn, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Arkansas, drilled Arkansas, Missouri, LSU, and Texas. So I'll give a pat on the back for that one. Auburn with Georgia, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. I had Mississippi State instead of Vanderbilt. Florida with Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky. Samsonite, I was way off on Florida. The ones they end up going with the Oklahoma are a lot better. We'll get to that. Georgia, we'll obviously dig in deeper to Georgia, but Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, drilled that one. Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida. I was pretty off on that one too. I missed that one. LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Pretty close to that. Alabama and LSU, and we'll get to that. The ones that were really sad not getting every year, but Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, Vanderbilt. Only got one of those 3. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma. Ole Miss, Oklahoma is a little random. And then oh shoot, I skipped someone, didn't I? Missouri, Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma. South Carolina is Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. I think the Tennessee-Kentucky one kind of threw some things off. It feels like Tennessee is like the most important game to Kentucky fans. And then Texas got A&M, Arkansas, Oklahoma. I did hit that one. A&M with Texas, LSU, and Missouri. Did I get that one? No, I had Ole Miss in there. And then
A&M got LSU, Missouri. Yeah, LSU, Missouri, Texas.
And then Vanderbilt with Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Auburn. So this isn't the best graphic to have on the screen right now, but that's what I predicted. But what are like the biggest ones you think we're losing from this? Like they were losing every year from this new rotation.
Well, the big one is obviously LSU Bama. That's one of the biggest games of the college football season, just about every single year, and especially ever since Saban went from LSU to Alabama. So that one kind of stings to lose. I know we all really look forward to that game, and from a Georgia perspective, I think easily the biggest, most noteworthy one is that they're not playing Tennessee every year. So I'm pretty happy with Georgia's 3 annual opponents. I think they all make sense because Tennessee, like Georgia, like we've said, like Georgia and Tennessee are each other's like 4th biggest rivals, probably, or about that.
Yeah.
So I'm not super upset with only playing them every other year now, as much as I do really like playing them every year because Georgia beats them every year. But yeah, LSU Bama, that's the one that everyone's been talking about today, and I understand why they didn't do it because you don't want to give Bama Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU. I know that's like 3 superpowers or whatever, or like 3 very good programs usually. And then Starkville and Tuscaloosa, I think, are like the closest 2 cities to each other of any SEC cities.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and they really made an effort to prioritize geography with these opponents, and I think that's a good call. So as much as I do feel kind of sad that we're not getting LSU Bama every year, I kind of get it, I guess, and it's like they're playing every other year, I think, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's exactly the thought process. And and like I already said, not gonna be a broken record. I think they should have just prioritized the rivalries more than the win loss. Because also like the last decade, Tennessee was one of the worst teams in the SEC. So it's like it's not like things are like cyclical. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a bummer to not have Alabama LSU every year. I think what I was kind of blown away by when we were kind of having this conversation. I think there's like this. There's like this 90s like not obsession, but like it's like we accept history back to like the 90s. It's like that's where so many of like the brands are like who was good in the 90s is almost who like people want to be good forever. It's like when Nebraska's good again and when Florida's good.
That's the best example of that I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's like there's something about, and obviously Nebraska was good before the 90s too, but it's like this sport has changed so much. It's people get so upset that it's like, oh, you know, they're changing the conferences again. It's like the conferences have never stayed the same for more than like 10, 15 years. It's like, but it's like this, we had this obsession.
They've never gotten this bad.
It's like we nailed it in the 90s, you know, or just like, why can't we go back to that? But it's like, you look at like the 80s, like how different the conferences were. It's like with how many teams were like independent and all that. And it's like, so like there's so much change in the sport always. I was looking at Georgia, Tennessee, because I feel like Georgia, Tennessee feels like an old school rivalry. And it's like before 1992, Georgia and Tennessee played like 12 times or something. Like
really?
Yeah, before it was like an actual locked SEC East. Like they played 4 times in the 80s. They played twice in the 70s, twice in the 60s. Then they played in the 30s, a couple times in the 20s. It's like it's not actually this kind of every year rivalry. Like I was kind of expecting, SEC East that just kind of goes back forever. But I don't know how they were doing the schedules prior to the East and the West. There was clearly like a free-for-all, I guess, just agreeing to play certain teams. There's that whole thing with John Heisman, like wouldn't play certain teams at Georgia Tech, and I think that's why they like ended up leaving the conference. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That was Bobby Dodd, I think, wasn't it?
What did I say? Heisman?
Yeah,
Bobby Dodd. Yeah. That's what I meant.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, I guess as a kid growing up, I just always saw the Herschel Walker, Bill Bates play and always just kind of assumed that Georgia and Tennessee was a long-lasting rivalry. So
yeah, same.
That makes sense. And I mean, literally on the contrast of that, Georgia Auburn is literally called the Deep South's oldest rivalry. So that's like something that's worth preserving. So yeah, it stings because I really do. As much as I just joked like you beat them every year, like I do really like the Tennessee Georgia rivalry. Like I have a lot of fun with it every year, I feel like. And it's just tough. It's tough that this is, I know I get your point about like the conferences have always changed, but I feel like back then the conferences would change because of like administrative drama and things like that. But now everything is just motivated by money and TV deals.
Yeah.
And, I don't really like that, but
I am with you. I mean, just having, I do love the Big Ten commercial where they go coast to coast, like the whole like the presentation of that commercial.
Yeah,
and I'm a big fan of the commercial, but it's like it's so ridiculous. This is one conference that you start on the West Coast, you end up at Rutgers. It's pretty ridiculous. I also exaggerated, I will say, before 92. It looks like, what would 92 be? 33 years. So before 92, that Georgia and Tennessee had played 20 times. So 20 times in the first like 100 years of playing football, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like because Florida Auburn is one of those. Before they split with the SEC East and West, Florida and Auburn were playing like every single year for like 60, 70 years or something like that. So there's a few on here that are kind of bummers. I think Tennessee, Florida, I was kind of shocked when I saw that they weren't going to play every year, but I think Kentucky, Tennessee does make sense. Kentucky's kind of up there on their own. It's like Tennessee's the closest one to them. Missouri kind of,
Florida,
partnering up Missouri with some of their old Big 12 foes. It's like that makes sense.
That's good. Florida got a really easy draw, man. They got South Carolina and Kentucky. All right, bro. They don't got to play Auburn. They don't got to play LSU. Like, they don't got to play Tennessee. They get.
But but just wait till you see Florida's schedule every year, and who they get in their other 6 teams year in and year out.
And,
I'm sure it's going to be tough. But
and
yeah, it just
they're revisiting these every 3 years, aren't they?
yeah, it is something like that. So we'll see what happens with it. That's why I think they're going to revisit it for like competition purposes. And maybe it's not a big deal because we're going to get all these games every other year, and it's not a big deal to get hung up on not getting them every year. But yeah, just some interesting stuff. Anything else you wanted to add on this?
I think that's pretty much it. We'll see what I hate that I guess we'll be doing another show on Wednesday, so by then the full schedule will be revealed, or SEC schedule at least. So, but I hate that we're doing it on Monday and it comes out tomorrow. But a good thing it leaked today, so we have something to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I always wonder about this, and I guess we'll get confirmation on. I don't know if anyone's confirmed, but I guess we'll get confirmation tomorrow night. But I always thought it was going to be like how I was showing it, and like you play 6 teams 1 year, essentially in a 4-year rotation. You play the same teams year 1 and year 3, and then the same teams year 2 and year 4, which that isn't traditionally how the SEC rotation has gone. Like when it was 12 teams, it was like Georgia played at Alabama in 02, and then Bama played at Georgia 03, and then Georgia played at Alabama 07, and then Bama at Georgia 08. So they were doing 2 in a row. So I would like it better if they're every other year. So if you're losing some of these rivalries, you don't have to wait 3 years in between to get them. Well, shoot. You get it, whatever it is. 2 years without it. But yeah, we'll see what they do.
Yeah. You want to talk about Bama?
Let's do it, man. It's Bama week. What
we made it to Bama week, didn't we?
Absolutely, sir. Well, where you want to start? Where you want to start in this game?
Where do we want to start? I guess the first thing I want to talk about, because we've kind of alluded to this for a little bit, is, given that this is a team that, is just maybe the most infamous rivalry of college football in the last decade, and Bama has pretty much owned it the whole time, except for one national championship victory, which is not nothing for Georgia. That is a national championship game. I think this has been a big media thing in the lead up to this game, and pretty much in the lead up to it every year since 2017. But the mental block that Georgia has facing Alabama, like, how real do you think that is, given the history of how this thing has gone throughout Kirby Smart's tenure?
I think it's a legitimate question. Also, I didn't see this. But Ballard Sports Media watching live. What's up, guys? From Mississippi State Live with Andrew Miller. But Alabama fan at heart. Good luck Saturday. Roll Tide. You're all over the place there, Mississippi State. Yeah, that was good luck, but Roll Tide. I don't know, but
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you watching, man. But to answer your question, I apologize. To answer your question, I feel like when living through the Florida years under Mark Richt, like it felt like, and that's why I don't even say the coach, because it was like, it didn't even matter who the coach was. It felt like Georgia players were legitimately scared, like going into the cocktail party. Like they would just play their worst game. They would make mistakes they didn't make in other games. It was just so strange.
Rick would have to have the whole team run on the field after a touchdown.
Exactly. Had to pull out all the stops. Be like, guys, why are we afraid of them? Like, let's do something.
The weird grambling helmets with the black pants.
Man, awful. Those awful helmets. Man. Would have at least liked to see an all black, like black helmet, black jersey, black helmet. But let's not get into that right now. No, especially not. Bama week. But I think just with what Kirby Smart has built at Georgia, and you just know the mentality of this team every year, like look at this list of games. Like if you just think about how Georgia came out like ready to play in all of these games, it's hard to say they have some sort of mental block. It's like if you think about that 2017 national championship, like Alabama benched their quarterback at halftime, but the Super Bowl winning quarterback, by the way, at halftime because we were dominating so much. Like you go back to 2018, like it's hard for people to remember because that team got blown out by Clemson in the national title game. But going into the SEC championship, we had never seen an Alabama team like Tua and those receivers. It was the most like dynamic, like they were being talked about like maybe the greatest team in SEC history. And Georgia just comes out, punches them in the mouth. Like, what were they up? They go up 35-21 or is it 35-14?
28-14.
20 because they didn't score 35 obviously.
Yeah.
28-14 early second half, I want to say.
About
but
that.
Yeah, like the offense, like they just came ready to play. LeCount had the pick, J.R. Reed had the pick. Like you were getting, that team didn't get like any sacks at all that year, and it was just, I think they may have been last in the SEC in sacks that year, and they were just all over Tua in that game, just creating pressure. It's almost like they'd waited all year to design something to beat Tua. And then you hurt Tua, and he leaves the game, and then Hurts comes in, and it's the repeat of the year before. But the fact that they just come out ready to play, even 2020 with Stetson Bennett, like that's one of the greatest, that's maybe the best Alabama team in 2020. They were almost invincible. And even with a bad Stetson Bennett in 2020, like that game was a game into the fourth quarter. Like Georgia was were they up late in the third quarter, or were they down 3 late in the third quarter? They're winning at halftime, right?
They were winning at halftime, I believe, but it got away from them really quickly. I just remember it's been a while since I've gone back and like watched that game, but I just remember that game evaporating before my eyes, and like it felt like a matter of seconds. Which
Waddle had that like 90-yard touchdown. Did that take the lead, or that like blew it open? I can't remember.
I think it did blow it open. But like that's kind of what I'm saying though. Like you are like, yes, I do get like Georgia comes out pretty much every single one of these games and has a great start, except for the one last year, of course.
Yeah,
but that's kind of my point. Is that yes, they come and they have this great start, and they're like, yeah, like we here, and then Alabama just friggin' just reemerges, takes the game over, dominates the second half every single time almost. And I think there's something to be said about like, I mean, this is a long time ago and it's pre-national championship, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but it's like, it's still crazy to me that like the reverse of the Tua Jalen Hurts swap happened in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
That would not happen in any other rivalry. Stupid. Being up at halftime and then your quarterback throws like 4 picks in the second half, that wouldn't happen in any other rivalry. The Keeler Ringo pick 6 wouldn't happen in any other rivalry. Like,
if we just let them get a field goal before halftime, do they not bench Jalen Hurts? Maybe
these surges, maybe these surges that happen during these games is just, it's so crazy to me. And then last year we almost saw the exact reverse of it happen, except Alabama ended up hanging on to win thanks to that crazy Ryan Williams play and getting the pick at the end. So I really think, I don't think you can sit here and say there's no, extra, maybe not a mental block, but like, I think there is something extra that they're thinking about going into this game, just knowing the history of the rivalry, knowing that that's where Kirby Smart, made his name at as a coach largely. I just think either consciously or not, I think Georgia goes into this game feeling different every single year and not really in a good way. But that's not me saying I think they're going to lose.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, we can't know the exact mentality that these guys have and whether they go into the game with, but the result tends to be the same. The last year's game was just so different than the previous ones, and that's partly one of the reasons why. I mean, maybe it's just easy that what's Georgia's most important game? Alabama. Like, just if you didn't think anything, you didn't use your brain for 2 seconds, that would probably be your answer. But when you just dig in even deeper, it's just because of what you're saying and because it's Kalen DeBoer, it's like, it's one thing to lose to Nick Saban. Everyone is losing to Nick Saban. This is what I tried to say the whole time. Like, oh, does Georgia have an Alabama problem? It's like, does the rest of college football have an Alabama problem? Like, what are we talking about here?
Oh, Dabo didn't.
Like, they're beating everybody for this decade. But no, that's true. Dabo got him twice. They did beat Dabo twice as well.
They did beat Dabo twice.
But yeah, so obviously there's been teams that have beaten them. Tennessee's beaten them now twice in the last 2 of the last 3 times they've played them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Now, if Kalen DeBoer beats Kirby in his first 2 games, it does start to feel like, okay, is there something about Alabama, especially in a year where all of these games we're listing here on the screen, none of them were in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
Obviously, but 5 of them are in Atlanta, Georgia, but that is still a neutral site, people. It doesn't matter where the game is being played. Maybe Georgia has 60-40 in some of those crowds. I don't know. But Alabama fans obviously travel. But yeah, this is the first one that's in Athens, and Alabama is by far the lowest ranked, probably the lowest ranked either of these teams are in any of these matchups, right? No one's been ranked 17. I would think the lowest Georgia's been ranked for one of these games is
probably 2020.
like number 8 or something. Yeah, but yeah, probably 2020.
No, they were probably top. I think they were top 3 in 2022 because they hadn't even lost yet. This is their first loss.
Yeah, that was their first loss. So yeah, you're probably right. And Stetson had the one good game, I think, versus Auburn at that point. So people were feeling them. They had the game day segments about him and everything.
Yeah, yeah. That was myth was starting, and then it kind of stopped, and then it started again the next.
And it was like, oof, maybe this guy wasn't ready for the big stage. That's why, like, I'll never hate on anyone who's like, or I will question people who are like, I believed in Stetson the whole time. It's like, well, you shouldn't have believed him in 2020. But then he proved us all wrong. You
shouldn't have believed him.
Yeah, but yeah. So this is by far the lowest they've been ranked in any of these games, and it's in Athens. It just feels like if you don't win this one, I don't know. Maybe I'll believe you on Sunday if we're talking about another loss, or Saturday night if we're coming on here.
I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is like this is the one variation of this matchup that hasn't happened yet. They've literally played every other. They've played in the playoff. They've played in the SEC championship. Like they've played in Bryant-Denny. They have not played in Stanford yet somehow. All of these games have happened. And that's really something that I never really I didn't think about that at all really until this year, until people started saying like, oh, this is the first year Kirby's ever gotten Bama at home. That's kind of crazy actually. And I guess it just goes to show how good these teams have been, that they're always just meeting each other in the postseason. But yeah, I think that's a huge deal. I really do. Georgia getting this, it's never been seen before. Georgia obviously has not lost at home since 2019. I mean, they're going to need every last drop of juice that the crowd can give them because, like, I mean, we saw last year how when Georgia was making mistakes early, how it was just getting compounded by the fact that they were in that hostile of an environment, and then sure enough that they go down 28-0 just in the blink of an eye. So that's the kind of thing that Georgia needs to be benefiting from this time around in this game.
Yeah, I would say I'd never seen anything like it, but I did see a game against Alabama several years prior that was something similar. So, but yeah, it was just so weird because of, like, by the end of the year, it was so weird just because of how many games you saw Alabama's offense just look awful. Like the Oklahoma game or the Michigan game or, even Tennessee, they just looked so average. They just made so many mistakes. And that night against Georgia and Jalen Milroe, like, it was just like flawless for at least like two and a half quarters or so.
Yeah, and they made the adjustments and eventually just completely shut Milroe down. But I mean, dude, you have, we don't need to make this whole show about the game that happened a year ago, but like they really did just get off to a nightmare start in that one. You have the interception on the screen pass, you have the drop shot play to begin it, and then you just have Milroe just running it all over the place. Like it says a lot about the DNA of that team that they were able to just come roaring back like that. And I kind of think that that's just kind of a Kirby Smart thing, man. I mean, with everything that you hear about fire, passion, and energy and stuff, like I really do think that they live it. And I think you saw that in the Tennessee game. And that's going to have to show up again in a big way. Although being at home just definitely helps a lot.
And I think people still sleep on Sanford Stadium as far as like being one of the loudest environments in college football. I think it just, I mean, and say what you want about the fans. I think all fans are like this, but fans show up for the biggest games. Like, you don't judge your fans by, the Austin Peay game, Granted, you should judge them by the Auburn game, and I don't think they brought it a year ago. That's the one where Kirby Smart called out the fans and everything. But
new fans.
Since Kirby arrived, big games in Sanford Stadium are way different than they were before. And it's
Yeah.
like Alabama has not experienced one of those big games in Athens. And that's, yeah, but speaking of my schedule, like just kind of theory is like the Florida game is always one of the biggest games on Georgia's schedule, maybe the biggest game for several years there. And it's like, that's never a game that's in Athens, you know? So I feel like, unfortunately, Georgia, for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like their home schedule, like it doesn't feel like they have many big games at home. You know what I mean? And
like in general,
yeah, just like in general, like in terms of other teams, like because of that Florida game, because the East being weaker than the West at times, like it feels like when Arkansas is top 10 and they come to Athens, like the fans show up, you know, and when Tennessee's ranked number 1, like the atmosphere is just insane. And maybe that's an indictment on Georgia's fans that it has to be a big game or something, but this is a big game. And when it is, like, especially at night, we've seen the stats about how few night games they've had compared to some other programs in the SEC over the last like decade plus. So I think this atmosphere is going to be insane. And like, I like that this, at least we're not talking about Gunnar Stockton right now. I think obviously
oh my gosh,
Gunnar Stockton is a huge factor in this game, but like would legitimately, I will admit, on like I said on the record, I don't know if we were on this show or if I was doing on the Chase Thomas podcast, but going into the Tennessee game, I still didn't know the difference between Gunnar Stockton and Brock Vandagriff. You know what I mean? They were both big time quarterbacks coming out of high school, like supposed to be superstars, but we hadn't seen Gunnar actually do it yet. We've seen him in backup role and backup duty a little bit. Obviously, maybe that's not fair with his experience versus Texas and Notre Dame, but I feel like there was still just a lot of question marks about Gunnar. And I at least know, like, I know now, and it's just one game. We don't want to just overreact to one game, but that one game going on the road to Knoxville, just with the pressure that was involved and everything, with just, it felt like every single series or every single possession, Georgia was in like a must score kind of, you know, sense of urgency. So I don't know. After that game, I at least feel like Gunnar Stockton is not the biggest story coming into this game.
Yeah, for sure. And he probably was going into the Tennessee game. I mean, yeah, I agree. Like you don't want to overreact after one game, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he should be the front runner for the Heisman or anything. Like, I'm not saying that, but I do think that kind of performance on the road against that team in that environment where, you know, they're beating you for most of that game, and you've got to make a play at the end. You know, he throws that back shoulder ball on fourth down with the game on the line. Like, that just kind of shows that he's made of the right stuff. You know, like it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, he's the GOAT all of a sudden or anything, but it does just show you that he's a dude, and they can win with him on the road. They can definitely win with him at home. So yeah, I agree that Gunnar Stockton, we're definitely not asking as many questions about. Now, there's still a lot to learn still about him. That just always comes when the quarterback's only ever started 3 games in his career. But yes, I mean, I said this last week. Like, I don't know if my opinion has ever changed so much on a Georgia player after one game than that game. And not saying I think he's the greatest or anything now, but I do think he's pretty damn good. And that was something I hesitated with saying before that game. So yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you one deep cut here. Is the only example I can think of to compete with what you just said was Richard Samuel. Do you remember Richard Samuel?
No.
Oh, dude, Richard Samuel. I would have said maybe it's 2008, 2009. 5-star. I think he's number 1 athlete in the country, or 5-star running back. And no disrespect, I'm not trying to have Richard Samuel catch strays on this podcast, but he was not the 5-star running back that he was supposed to be. Tried to play, moved over to defense. I don't know. Then moved back to offense. I don't know. It's just a team guy. He was doing whatever it took. And the 2011 Florida game, Georgia just needed to put the game away. Richard Samuel, like, put it away. And then that day, we're just like, all right, no more slander about Richard Samuel. You know, it's not his fault that someone labeled him a 5-star. But yeah, from that day on, I was like, no, we're not allowed to talk bad about Richard Samuel. We were that desperate for wins in Jacksonville at that point.
Against Florida, he rushed for 58 yards and a touchdown on 17 carries.
Yeah, it was like the
0.4
touchdown that
yards
put
a
it.
pop.
Yeah, it was like the touchdown that put it away. I think.
Okay, there you go.
And Isaiah Crowell, that's Crowell's freshman year. I think he may have been injured some in that Florida game, so I think it was like more was put on Richard Samuel. I think in that game, but yeah, that's the one. But that's just like that's a at a left field there. Your point about Gunnar Stockton, I agree with completely. And now that guy having to do that is Ty Simpson, because like he's looked good to this point, but like, I mean, the last time they went on the road, they put up 17 points and lost to Florida State. I mean, they were basically dominated in that game. Like Ty Simpson, you could argue might have been one of the bright spots for Alabama in that game. And he is more athletic, I think, than I was expecting, just being a kind of a pocket passer. 23 of 43, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Obviously didn't do anything great, but that's what this team did. And they rushed for 87 yards on 29 carries the last time they went on the road. And I would have to think of their games to this point that you can compare and try to project what they're going to do against Georgia. The game on the road at Florida State's got to be the closest.
Yeah, and I honestly kind of thought Simpson was kind of bad in that game, to be honest.
Did you?
I thought he just kind of held the ball too long and
that's fair.
Missing reads. I know he ended up having a good volume game passing the ball, but I kind of thought that he set them back a little bit just because he wasn't as willing to throw it. But that said, he has looked so much better since then. I think he's thrown like 4 incompletions total his last like 2 games or something like that. It might be even less. And I know that that's against, Louisiana Monroe and Wisconsin, but I just think watching him against Wisconsin, the biggest thing that I noticed was like he is getting the ball out so much quicker. And maybe that's just because Wisconsin, doesn't have the same guys in coverage as Alabama, and he was just, had guys open faster. But I really think that he's turned a corner these past couple of weeks. I really think that he's starting to figure things out. Kirby Smart today, or maybe it was the other day, I think it was today, called Ty Simpson the hottest quarterback in college football, like in terms of he's playing really well. I don't think he was talking. He might have been talking about his appearance, but I would guess that he was talking about he's been playing really well recently, and he's been money. I know a lot of people kind of wrote him off week 1 as this scrub. Maybe I was kind of guilty of that a little bit myself, but I do think these are 2 really good quarterbacks. Like I'm expecting a duel in this one. They've got great weapons. Georgia's got great weapons. Like I think we might it might be a more normal game than last year was, just because everything is. But I think we're in for a similar amount of fireworks, especially after watching some of the things that Georgia's defense gave up last week against Tennessee.
Yeah, that's where I just don't know how to interpret. And to your point, he was 17 for 17 against UL Monroe and 24 of 29 against Wisconsin. Yeah, 7 touchdowns, no picks in that game. He's 9 touchdowns, no picks on the season.
Wait, he threw 7 touchdowns against Wisconsin?
No, in those 2 games.
Oh, I was like, good Lord.
4 versus Wisconsin and 3. Yeah,
I must have missed like 3 touchdowns. Like,
yeah. But no, you're not wrong. I mean, I really don't know what to make of Georgia's defense right now. Like, I kind of think there's a good chance that Georgia played what could be the best offense in the SEC on the road in week 3. And from here on out, like, Georgia's defense should still be one of the better defenses in the SEC. Like, I would still be surprised if Georgia did not have a top 5 defense in the conference. Mm-hmm. And I think the production wise, what happened in Knoxville is far from a top 5 defense in this conference. So if Ty Simpson could also be one of the 2 best, like the Alabama and Tennessee we could be looking up as the 2 best offenses in the entire SEC at the end of the year. But I would say if Ty Simpson goes off on Georgia the same way Aguilar went off, I'm going to start to be concerned that this defense actually isn't good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what went wrong against Tennessee last week was what went wrong against Alabama last year. Obviously, it was different players struggling, but I thought it was the same thing. It was like they were just not playing the ball in the air well at all. I mean, You had last year against Alabama, of course, you had, Starks tipping the ball up to Williams. I think it was Williams. And then, obviously there's the
Oh,
other.
I forgot about that
There's
play.
Yeah, and then of course there's that crazy Ryan Williams, Julian Humphrey touchdown where he made Humphrey and Bolden kiss, So like you have that, and then last week same thing. I mean, at like the Staley touchdown was kind of just a coverage bust, but like two of those Brazel touchdowns were just like Robinson and Harris like in position to make a play and just like not tackling the guy, missing the ball completely, and just ending up on their butt while the guy walks into the end zone. And Kirby Smart, has said this week that's a correctable thing, and like I agree with him. Like that is a correctable thing, especially on the road. In that environment, like that might happen to you. But yeah, I'm with you. Like if the same kinds of things in coverage happen again, where the DBs are in position and they just completely whiff and just get burned in one-on-one, like it's not good. But I'm honestly less concerned about the DBs than I am about the pass rush.
Okay.
Like, you got to think the reason that a lot of the corners for Georgia were in those situations in the first place was because Georgia could not get any pressure sending 4 rushers. The only way they got any type of pressure on Aguilar was blitzing. And when you do that, you leave your guys one-on-one, with no safety help sometimes. You leave them on that island sometimes. And we saw Tennessee get, 3 touchdowns off of that? And if Georgia continues to just not be able to get home with 4 pass rushers and they have to blitz every play if they want to get any pressure, you might just see more of the same, man. You can't have a team that just can't play soft coverages ever.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I wonder if and that this was probably Aguero's best game, that Tennessee, probably the best game of his career to this point. I'm wondering like what we see in that DB, if there's any like, just shakeups in that DB unit this week. Like, do we see Harris or Ellis Robinson? Like, is it still a tryout? They're going to go series to series of who's cornerback number 2 on the team? Like, I think you've seen through the years that Kirby Smart doesn't want to do that. He wants to have his 2 corners and just leave them there, So I don't think you want to just play multiple guys like that. And then also, like, does Aguero, he made that one pick playing deep safety. Like, does he play more of the safety role opposite KJ Bolden? And we see, I don't know, one of the DBs that hasn't played as maybe Corey Thomas playing star, or is Corey Thomas that other safety, or is Zion Branch start to get a look? I think he was, or was it Zion Branch, or was it Maddox that was getting more looks at star?
Maddox.
It's like, I wonder if we see one of those guys, if maybe shaking it up, like, or maybe Aguero's just really good at that star role and you just keep him there.
I'd leave Aguero there, man, after last week. I mean, he was really the only DB that was like, playing downhill. He had the interception. He was really the only one that was like consistently playing well. I felt like.
But I think safety is just a more important position in the, like, I think Javon Bullard played star about as well as anyone I can remember. And it's like, they moved him to safety when it was hit when that opening when that opened up. Yeah, so I wonder where the priority is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the attention should be on safety and star though. I think we should be worried about the hierarchy at cornerback and whether or not those guys can be trusted. Because I mean, they weren't throwing at Everett at all. Everett is about as solid as they come in terms of cornerbacks in college football, but. You can't have Ellis Robinson is like the highest rated cornerback prospect ever. Daniel Harris is a very good player as well. Like, you can't have guys in this defense getting picked on. But again, at the same time, it's like, if you can't get any pass rush, those DBs can't cover forever. Darrelle Revis can't cover forever. Like, I just don't know. I mean, whether it's Madozie or Gabe Harris, like, they just have to get pressure from the edge. I think Georgia's only got 4 sacks this year, and they've all been from inside linebackers. They've all been on blitzes.
Yeah,
the edge rushers are just not winning. They're not winning at all, and I think that's the biggest concern on the entire team right now. Right side of the O line aside, cornerbacks aside, anything else, I really am the most worried about the pass rush, and specifically the edge pass rush.
Yeah, and I think I haven't seen snap numbers to back this up, but it seems like Quintavious Johnson is on the field more than Mendoza, maybe even more than Gabe Harris at this point. He seems to be on the field all the time, and I don't think he's registered sacked to this point. Maybe he's kind of, I guess he's more in that Chaz Chambliss role, which Chambliss still had what 5-6 sacks or so a year ago. So I don't know, but. Yeah, I think that's reason for concern for sure. Do you know what Florida State did in terms of sack numbers in that? Looks like Florida State had 3 sacks in that game. So they definitely were making Ty Simpson run around some. I remember Ty Simpson because I was kind of surprised at how athletic he was. So they were definitely getting him out of the pocket a little bit. But yeah, the way I haven't heard Chris Brazzell getting any first round pick love. So the way Chris Brazzell was just having his way with that secondary, it definitely gives you PTSD with what Ryan Williams did to Julian Humphrey a year ago.
Yeah. And Alabama's got a very good tackle duo with Caden Proctor and Wilkin Thornby, I believe is his name. Like, they've got a good line. I know it ain't Saban anymore, but it's still Alabama. Like, this is not a team that you're just going to be able to bully in the trenches at all, and it never has been that way with this rivalry. So I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but that Georgia, if Ty Simpson is just chilling in the pocket all day, it might be a long game. I really think the biggest thing that Georgia can do in this game is try to shut down the run game early and just force Alabama into pure drop back passing situations where, they can afford to pin their ears back a little bit more and rush the passer. Because if Alabama's just kind of moving right along and Georgia's not able to really focus on rushing the passer on passing downs, like, they might not ever get home.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What are the chances this Alabama defense is better than Tennessee's defense?
I think it's probably better. I think an Alabama defense, like, I know I'm just scouting the helmet here, but, like, dude, they've got some dogs, man.
I mean, this Tennessee defense was better last year. Like, statistically, they were the best in the SEC. I think
they were.
Part of that could be the schedule, but
I think
there's a chance that's the best defense Gunner faces all year is Tennessee, and it was on the road as well. Like, I think Alabama could give Georgia a hard time, like, scoring points, but if they do, I feel like Georgia can score right back.
Yeah, I do, and that's the thing too. Is like it'd be one thing if it was like, I'm worried about the pass rush and I'm worried about the quarterback, but, like, no, Georgia can run the ball. Georgia's been able to throw the ball this year. They've been playing pretty complimentary football when it comes to using the run to set up the pass this year. I mean, they did a really good job of that in the Tennessee game, but. Bama's got a tough defensive front, man, with Overton, and I think they have Tim Keenan coming back this week, which is huge for them. I mean, he's a really good player, and he's probably the biggest emotional leader of their team. Like, I don't know if you've seen, but, like, Tim Keenan is the one that's always sticking up for DeBoer. DeBoer is, especially after that Florida State loss, people just left and right are calling for his job, and he's the one sticking up for him. Like, they've got a good front, man. They really do. And I think that'll be a big challenge for Gunnar Stockton and this offensive line, especially because we don't really know who's going to be on the right side of the offensive line. Kirby Smart today did not sound like Ernest Green was healthy. So it might be more Bo Hughley. And Bo Hughley was great last week, but is he going to be great again? We'll just have to see. Same thing with Gaston. We don't know how healthy he is either. So I don't know, like, at this point in the week, like, I still don't know if there are any crazy, like, positional advantages or anything. I think this is a pretty even matchup, but in the trenches, I think Alabama's offensive line versus Georgia's pass rush, I think, might be the biggest advantage that Alabama's got in this game.
You said Alabama's offensive line
being able to keep Ty Simpson clean. I think so, because Georgia hasn't gotten pressure this year without blitzing. And I know that they've only really played one real opponent, but that's probably even worse. They couldn't get home against Austin Peay. Like,
No, I think that's fair. I think I would definitely think Hewley is going to be the starter with what we've seen to this
Yeah.
point. Like Uini appears to be a guard. He does not appear to be a tackle. And maybe he's the right guard if Juan Gaston isn't starting, but Dontrell
I was gonna
Glover
say
is
Bobby
look.
Glover, man, he looked really good too. But
Yeah. So
he also got banged up last week, so we don't
oh,
know.
did he get hurt in that one as well?
For a little bit, he did. Yeah, I think because Gaston.
Okay, so yeah, and maybe Gaston, maybe that bye week came at the perfect time, and he's able to be healthy for this one. But yeah, that's personally where I think I'm most concerned is that right part of that offensive line because Georgia was able to run the ball, I think, well enough against Tennessee, like 198 yards on the ground. Like, I mean, that's great compared to what they did a year ago. So, I think that's got to be part of it. Like, as much as I trust Gunnar Stockton a lot more than I did, 2 weeks ago, I think running the football just still has to be. Georgia's just going to have to be a complimentary offense. I don't trust Georgia to win this game if we look up and they had 85 yards rushing and Gunnar has to throw the ball 45 times. Like I don't trust Georgia to win that way. And you look at like the Florida State game, obviously Alabama's played 2 other games, but the Florida State game, they had 49 for 230 on the ground. And that's Tommy Castellanos had 16 for 78. And like as good as Gunnar is with his legs, he's not nearly as dangerous as Castellanos. That just in terms of just respecting the quarterback run on every single play, Gunnar, you do have to respect it. But I mean, that dude's different. He moves like Kyler Murray, basically.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, a little. Is he a shorter Kyler Murray? Maybe also
somehow shorter Kyler Murray.
Yeah, but I think that's got to be part of it. I think this offensive line has got to be, making some running lanes for Frazier and who's number 2 back right now? Is it Chauncey Bowens or is it Dwight? I guess it's Josh McCray.
It's Phillips, man. Phillips has been the second.
So Phillips is number. I guess Josh McCray might just be a short yardage guy.
Best running back on the team this year.
I think Frazier's still been better.
I don't. Yeah, he has.
He's probably gotten like 3 times.
I agree. I'm just saying you could argue it. I don't think.
I wouldn't argue it, but you could argue it.
I don't think he's the number 2, but I do think he's settled into that power back role. But I don't think it makes him the number 2. Maybe it just makes him 2B, 2A, 2B. Yeah. I mean, both of these teams I think are going to try to be playing keep away and ball control and time of possession is going to be a huge thing. I mean, Georgia saw what Ryan Williams did to them last year, and they saw how much they struggled with defending the ball in the air last week. Like, you're not going to want number 2 to have that many chances to burn you. And really the only way that you do that is by taking care of the ball and then stopping the run on Alabama so that they have to live in 3rd and long. And it's just easier for you to defend that way because, like, if they're in position where Alabama starts running the ball and then all it takes is one play action shot and Ryan Williams is 40 yards down the field, like, I think that's when you lose the game. If Alabama's just sitting back, chilling in the pocket all day, like I said, that's where I could see this one getting away from them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know if I see a scenario of Georgia like truly getting blown out by this Alabama team.
Oh no, that's not what I meant.
But yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so it's interesting. You kind of wrote a couple questions before we started. I think we kind of answered the biggest concerns we both had, but like, what do you think is the most clear advantage that Georgia has in this game?
The most clear advantage I think that Georgia has. That's a tough one because I really think this is a pretty even matchup. I think these teams are both built pretty similar, and I thought I had an answer for this going into this, but now I'm kind of thinking about it again. It's like, I guess it would have to come running the ball. I know that we've said that Alabama's got a great defensive front, and they do, but I guess it remains to be seen if Tim Keenan is really fully healthy or not, if they're trying to rush him back for this game or not. I could see Georgia having a pretty good day running the ball in this one. So I guess that would be my answer because I can't say the secondary because they've got Ryan Williams and Georgia's secondary is coming off a bad game. I can't say quarterback because I kind of viewed Simpson and Stockton on similar levels, at least
Yeah.
right now. I certainly can't say Georgia's defensive line versus Alabama's offensive line. I kind of said the opposite. So I guess I'm saying that both teams have an advantage over each other in the trenches because I think they both when each team has the ball because I think that's kind of both how they want to be built anyway.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there because I was struggling a little bit. I guess as much as much higher we are on Georgia than we were a couple weeks ago, and probably I would say we're significantly higher on Georgia than we were the day before the season started. Maybe not significantly. We're higher on Georgia right now than the day the season started, and I would say people are significantly lower on Alabama than the day before the season started. And I'm still struggling of like, yeah, but Georgia's clearly better than Alabama at this. Like, I still don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I probably have to go back to what I think is the strength of this Georgia team, which is this linebacker group. And yeah, maybe we worry about getting pressure on Alabama, but this team had 29 carries for 87 yards against Florida State. The only game that matters is my book, as you can tell. That's the only game I've read for.
The only game they played.
Wisconsin is terrible. I'm sorry.
Hey, they've got a decent defense, but yeah, they are.
Wisconsin.
They look pretty. Ugh.
That's probably fair, but you just look at so many of the teams that have given Kirby Smart problems, specifically Alabama teams, whether it's Tua, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Bryce Young. It's usually a guy, Jalen Milroe. It's usually a guy who can run. And if Bryce Young or if Ty Simpson, like I said, more athletic than I kind of thought, but he's not going to be a legitimate run threat in this game. And so if Georgia's able to slow down their traditional run game, there's a scenario where Ty Simpson has to beat Georgia with his arm, and he does. That could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Georgia, you've just seen when Kirby Smart and Georgia's defense is at its best, it's making teams one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And I think Georgia being able to take away the run game has got to be maybe it's hoping and projecting more than saying it's a clear advantage. But I think that's where I would bet on Georgia is slowing down this run game.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I honestly might even change my answer to that too, just because Alabama was gashing Georgia on the ground for a good portion of the beginning of last year's game, but it was really all on like quarterback runs. Like Milroe was really doing everything. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how many rushing yards Jam Miller had in that game, but I feel like it was not a crazy amount. I don't remember Alabama's traditional run game really having much success against Georgia, especially in the second half when Georgia made those adjustments. So I could see that. I could really see because that's what I was saying. Like if Georgia's best chance to get stopped on defense consistently, and this goes for I guess every football game ever, but really in this game, when you look at Alabama's offensive situation and the playmakers they've got on the outside, it's like you got to force these guys to live in third and long. And really the way to do that, if you can't rush the passer, is to stop the run. So that's where I think Georgia's really going to have success in this game if they want to win.
For sure. And you look at last year, they gave up 177 on the ground. 117 of that was Jalen Milroe. And Jam Miller, you said, is supposed to be back for this game.
Yes.
So that could
Lower said that him and Keenan are both coming back.
So that's obviously big. He only had 5 for 8 in this game last year. Bernard, but Justice Haynes had 6 for 35, and Jeremy Bernard had 2 for 18. So
they do
which granted, those are 6 yards a carry, 9 yards a carry for those two guys on Haynes and Bernard on just 8 carries. So, but you had that element of, is Jalen Miller going to keep the ball?
Yeah.
And so when he doesn't keep it, then those running backs are running through bigger lanes. So I think that could be a real X factor in this game. Just if Georgia's able to make them one-dimensional.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be, man. I think that's how you win these types of games is you just, especially when you're at home, the biggest thing that you got to do is just keep the other team uncomfortable at all times. And what's the way to do that is just force them to have a 3rd and 8, on almost every set of downs. I know that's what every coach wants to do anyway, but these are the kinds of games you really want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the folks out there, we are not going to make our score predictions on today's show. We are getting together on Wednesday night live. I believe 8:00 Eastern. I don't know if we've confirmed that, but something 8:00 ish Eastern with the Alabama Voice of College Football guys. Really just hash it out. You know, if we can't win on the field, we're gonna win on the YouTube channel. That's for sure. You can count on that. So get our live score or get our score predictions there. But if Georgia loses this game, Bo, why did it happen?
I think it will be the same reasons they almost lost to Tennessee. I think it's just going to be, I mean, Ryan Williams has burned this team before. Went for like 170 last year, had two of the craziest plays I've ever seen. I think it's really, if I envision Georgia losing, I think it's because Ty Simpson has, 4 seconds to throw the ball on any given play. Ryan Williams is getting deep. He's cooking the corners. Georgia gets desperate, starts blitzing, starts giving Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard even more one-on-one opportunities, and then all of a sudden Georgia's having to play from behind, which you just never want to do in any situation. So I think that's how I'd see it going.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think, losing those one-on-one matchups is definitely one of the bigger concerns I have out wide. I didn't go back. I should go all the way back further on this. My biggest thing is the turnovers. Like if Gunnar Stockton, and maybe that's a cop out because you lose the turnover battle, it greatly increases your chances of losing a game. But last year, Carson Beck, one of his worst games, probably one of his worst quarters. It's hard to call it one of his worst games because in the second half he was absolutely dealing. But one of the worst quarters of his football career.
Dude, he was looking like Fatone Bowda out there for a second.
Nice name drop right there. I think he did throw 3 or 4 picks in that one start he had. It was 3. Yeah. So yeah, Georgia turned it over 4 times to once for Alabama in the game last year, and you lose 41-34. Like that team, Georgia turns over 3 times in that game. They probably win. Turn it over 2, they might win by multiple scores, but they turned it over 4 times, and you end up losing. I think you look at I don't have the stats in front of me. The 2023, the SEC championship game, I know they had that fumble on the little reverse to Dylan Bell late in the game. Was that the only turnover? Did Beck throw a pick in that game?
I think that was the only turnover. I'd have to.
But if I remember correct, I don't think Alabama turned it over in that game. So the SEC the national championship that Georgia won, you had the pick by Ringo. You had the
Chris Smith too.
Oh yeah, the pick by Chris Smith, the second or third play of the game where Jordan Davis gets the sack that they overturn the pick.
No, I was so mad about that.
Oh, dude, that was. I'm still not convinced that was an incomplete pass, to be honest. But especially after they call the one on Stetson.
Yeah, dude, I was pissed. I was like, oh,
it felt like a vintage Alabama Georgia game. Oh, this is where it all happens. This is where the meltdown begins. But yeah, that game that they actually won forced multiple turnovers. I think that's what it's going to take. Even the SEC championship, the one with where Jalen Hurts came in after Tua got hurt. It's like you had Richard LeCount and J.R. Reed both got a pick in that game. It's like you just have to make those plays. You got to get the havoc plays on defense. You're going to have to get some sacks, get some turnovers. And I think if that's the case, I think that's how Georgia wins this game. So I guess what I'm saying is Georgia loses the turnover battle. I think that's the easiest way for Georgia to lose this game. And we also haven't seen, like, as much as Gunnar has struggled in this in those first 2 games. It's hard to say he struggled, but didn't look great in those first 2 games. The offense struggled for sure in those first 2 games. They weren't even turning the ball over. Oh shoot, they did turn it over, didn't they? Frazier had the fumble and Humphrey had the fumble. Yeah, in that second game. So yeah, there you go. You got 2 turnovers. You don't even blow out Austin Peay as bad as you should because you're turning the ball over. So I think that's my biggest key is Georgia's got to win the turnover battle.
Got to take care of the football.
And then if Georgia wins, sir, why did Georgia win this game?
I think it'll be because, like I said, Alabama can't run the ball at all. They're living in 3rd and longs, which just isn't a sustainable formula for any offense. Just ask the Houston Texans. And then Gunnar Stockton and that offense continues to hum. It'd be a good day on the ground from Frazier and company. and Stockton hitting his play action stuff on top of that. Maybe he pulls the ball for a couple runs of his own. I think that's what you kind of need. You just need a really consistent offensive performance, and you don't need to necessarily get a ton of turnovers on defense if you can just stop the run and stop the big plays. But if you're not getting burned by explosives and you're stopping the run, I feel pretty good about Georgia's prospects on defense in this one.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like winning the turnover battle almost seems like the way to guarantee a Georgia victory. It feels like we've seen a lot of Georgia games with Kirby Smart where they're playing kind of, for lack of a better term, like boring defense. It's just like that Tennessee game a couple years ago in Knoxville. It's just like every 3rd and 5, it's just an incomplete pass and then they're off the field again. It's just that's also fun. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think if Gunnar Stockton is making plays and like if Georgia scores like 30, 35 points in this game, which I guess that's what it's taken to beat Alabama, the only one they've won, the winner of this game, I had I just had the graphic on there a second ago. Let me put that back up. In the Kirby Smart era, the winner of this game basically always scores 30.
Yeah.
So they scored 27 in the SEC championship, 26 in that national championship. But yeah, dropped 40 a couple times on Georgia. I wouldn't mind dropping 40 on the Crimson Tide. Can we get a 40 piece?
That'd be fun.
That would be nice. But yeah, I think if this team is scoring 30 points, I think I feel good about a victory.
Yeah, I think I do too. We'll see though. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a shootout though. Like I really do.
Man, I can't handle another shootout after that. After that Tennessee game, man, I was not a believer late in that game that Georgia was going to pull that one out.
Yeah, that was a rough one, but hey, they got it done. Got to get it done again.
All right, anything else from you, sir? Since we're not going to make our final predictions.
Go Lions.
Go Lions. Oh, should we? I don't know. Do you want to talk about any of the other games? This is a loaded slate. I don't know.
We can for a little bit. I mean,
let's see.
We can talk about LSU on this for a little bit. Penn State, Oregon. I think Penn State's gonna win because it's Oregon playing in a big game. So, but
wait. What'd you say?
I think Penn State's gonna beat Oregon
because Oregon's playing a good big. Penn State's the one who can't win big games.
Neither of them can win big games, especially Oregon. At least Penn State won some playoff games last year.
Oregon beat Ohio State last year, though.
No, they didn't.
I don't know.
You saw
in the regular season.
Playoff.
In the regular season, Oregon beat Ohio State.
When it counted, they got crapped on.
That's true. That's team won the national championship. I don't know. Penn State's the one I need to see win a big game. James Franklin and all.
They won a couple last year. They got to the
SMU and Boise State. Those are big games.
I know. I don't mean to defend Penn State. I don't like that program at all on account of previous events. But yeah, I think that's gonna be an awesome game. I really don't like that it's the same time as the Georgia game. I would really want to watch. I want one of those at 3:30, one of those at 7:30. I can't have everything I want. So
yeah, the one advantage to the SEC kind of ESPN being in charge of the SEC schedule is like no conflicting games. It feels like they're doing a great job of like putting all the game. You can watch every SEC game you want. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a bummer. Those are at the same time. Gonna have to 2 TV that one. Arkansas totally just let that Memphis blew that Memphis game a week ago. They should have won that one. I feel like they're more dangerous if they win that game with Notre Dame coming to town. Like it's obviously still a big game. Notre Dame's got to come to the SEC, but I don't know. I could just see Arkansas having a little bit of quit in them this week if things start to go south.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I'm a huge Taylor Green fan, man.
I do love some Taylor Green. Hey, he's a Green. I like him.
It's not looking good. Yeah. It's not looking good for Sam out there, man. I know that, and that Memphis game was really rough. But, yeah, I think they're going to want to go out there and play for their coach in this one. And so I could see them doing something that maybe not everyone expects. Because Notre Dame started 1-2.
Yeah, I would love to see him start 1-3. This is not meant as any disrespect to Stacey Searles, who I know a lot of Georgia fans have a lot of opinions on, but what do we got to do to get Sam Pittman fired and then back in Athens coaching the O-line? Is that can that ever happen again, or is that a pipe dream? Like Muschamp came back. They always come back. Although he's obviously not a UGA guy, but yeah, LSU Ole Miss. That's an interesting one, man. What's the spread on that? Ole Miss is actually favored in that game. Interesting. My boy Trinidad Chambliss, sir. I think it's his job. I think.
Yeah, dude, it's looking pretty good right now. I still kind of think we're gonna see Austin Simmons again, but hey, no, Trinidad looked pretty good last week, man. That's your boy.
For sure. I'd be real worried right now if I was an LSU fan. Like after those first 3 weeks, they had like the best resume in college football. Those wins over Clemson and Florida don't look as great as they did for I guess the Florida game. Was that after the South Florida? So they'd already lost before that one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not as high on LSU as I was a couple of weeks ago. I could see them going into Oxford and losing that one.
Yeah, I could
Vegas
too, man.
Vegas can as well.
I think that's gonna be a banger.
A&M and Auburn is another one. I know for a while there, Auburn won like the first 5 or 6 trips to Kyle Field. I think they were like undefeated in College Station for a while there. But I don't know. I like A&M. I think A&M is very similar to Oklahoma, like except for I don't think the quarterback is as good. Even though I do like Marcel Reed. They kind of feel like a diet version of Oklahoma right now. Like, I don't know that the defense is as elite, and I don't know that the quarterback is as good, but I kind of think they're kind of built in that same template.
I mean, Oklahoma, dude, Mateer looks pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got their defense and they've got their quarterback. Like, you can do a lot of things with that, man.
For sure. But even with all that said, Auburn got kind of hosed last week with the score. Everyone's talking about the substitution one where that should have been a penalty that Oklahoma scored the touchdown on. I felt like the one in the first quarter where it was a strip fumble that Auburn takes like 60 yards for a touchdown. I thought that was a clear catch and fumble, and they called it incomplete.
I don't think I saw that play.
I would be, oh man, it was early on, and I would be real salty if I was an Auburn fan. So even everything we're saying about Oklahoma, Auburn arguably should have won that game. And maybe their quarterback doesn't get sacked 10 times in College Station. So I'm curious to see if they give A&M a better game than they did Oklahoma last week. And then also Tennessee going on the road. Josh Heupel team's going on the road. Like maybe this is Mississippi State. Granted, I think Mississippi State's improved from where they've been the last couple of years, but I don't know. Arkansas wasn't great a year ago either, and Tennessee had trouble going in there. So we've seen this team lay some eggs. Of what the South Carolina game was, that 2022 late in the season. Like we've seen Tennessee lay some eggs on the road. I'm really curious to see if they do it again in Starkville.
I think they take care of business in this one coming off of the way they lost last week, but I don't think Mississippi State's going to go winless in the SEC this year, man.
No, I don't think so. I think, and maybe it's not Tennessee, but they're going to get somebody. I think that's all I got. I think that's all the ones I'm interested in, sir. Yeah. For the folks out there, tune in Wednesday night with when we get together with the Alabama Voice of College Football folks. And we go toe to toe, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, this is like Georgia Alabama is always a big game, and this year feels no different. It's probably going to come down to the wire. We're probably going to be a little bit stressed when this one's in the fourth quarter. But hey, that's what we love about college football, man.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be a good one, man. I'm expecting it to be very hard on my heart.
Absolutely. And we'll see if the Detroit Lions can get a win on Monday Night Football. Yes. That's all we got for this episode of the show. As always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.